Hi there, good morning to you, and I hope you are looking forward to this new day's show of Good Morning Uganda. The 25th of November has finally arrived. Now we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to end the month and step into the festivities. That is December 2021. Whoever knew would get there, but here we are, and we're definitely glad to be in this day. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and thank you so much for waking up to UBC. I am here with the distinguished gentlemen, Felix Nkunda and Robert Kirabo. Good morning to you, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Priscilla. On this special day, I know some people are very happy today. We have one of our ardent viewers, Elder Geoffrey from Chambogo. The results from Parliament regarding the NSSF, that is a bill that was amended passed yesterday. He almost flew to the moon. He told me, Robert, tell Felix, tell Priscilla, tomorrow it is a day that long awaited for. So I know there are about 2 million Ugandans that could be excited and happy because now, anytime, if we have the right regulations put in place, they could smile getting their midterm benefits. Okay,
speaking of smiling, Felix Nkunda has been having rather an interesting grin on his face this morning simply because he was having insanity. Good morning to you, Felix Nkunda.
Have I have an interesting grin? I love that one. But anyway, good morning, Priscilla.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? How are you? I'm awesome. It's another beautiful day. Of course, there's a lot of excitement around this whole thing of NSSF, but of course it comes with this challenge, probably what we'll be looking at much later. But as a matter of fact, also, there are many things happening in our country. You're keen to notice that also students are counting days. Probably they're very excited that we'll be going back to schools. I was talking to a couple of them, and parents had even forgotten. For example, now the kids who are in nursery, I was talking to somebody, and she's like, oh my God, Chiki is supposed to be in P1 because they have been closed for 2 years. She should be out of nursery. So I think schools are busy trying to register toddlers and of course secondary and all these things. But of course, we just pray that life goes back to normal.
Okay.
That's our biggest prayer.
That's definitely true. Now, as we start off Good Morning Uganda, today is Thursday, and on Thursday we tend to throw back into time. Our throwback this Thursday is very unique. We wanted to find out from ourselves what was our first job. Did we like it, or what we didn't actually like about the job? I'll start with you, Robert. Your first job, what did you like or didn't like about it?
First, I liked interacting with prisoners because my first job was with Uganda Prisons Aid Foundation, an NGO that deals with prisoners. It was interesting. These guys had very interesting stories. But what I didn't like about my job, it was more of running their magazine, where you have to write stories. And that is the bit of, it was so much of writing, then at times you have to find people that sponsor this magazine as well. So that's what I didn't like. But I enjoyed the stories of prisoners, to be honest. When you go to Luzira, people have interesting stories. Okay. And also discovering that many of them had converted and they had accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior. That is also something that I noticed, that during times of trouble, solace is in Christ.
Yeah, and rehabilitation comes through faith. Of course, we do have Felix. What was your first job, and what did you like or didn't like about it?
I had 2 jobs at that point. I used to be a tan boy of a sales mattress company called Warm Foam. Yeah, but we used to work, like lots of traveling, Tororo, where Barara, moving in the road like that. And I used to do that job concurrently with waiting tables. And I think the waiting was better because you would eat, get tipped, and of course, not until one time I had to wait on my auntie's table, yet she didn't know I was doing this, I think it was fun. You meet very, very nice, good people.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, every kind of job you do where you have an interface with people.
With people is always interesting.
It's really interesting. You get the bad ones, like the good, the bad, and the ugly,
And they teach you how to deal with different temperaments of people.
It's a good way to grow your emotional intelligence.
I definitely agree.
I loved the job when I was a waiter at, used to be at the beach called Country Resort.
Hey. Hey. Okay.
That's why I see that man,
So-
whenever we go out, is good at ensuring things.
Yeah, in order.
Really?
At the,
In order, then they
yeah.
have not brought us this.
Oh,
this should be
yes.
available here. This.
Yeah.
He knows the flavors of different coffees. And, you know.
Experience is the best.
You know, when Robert
teacher.
was saying his job, he said it was in prison. I'm like, okay, was your first job a prison? I said,
Okay, all right. My first job was interesting. I don't even know if there's a name for it, but my dad had a hardware business, and so you know how they have to offload the trucks, the cement, the trucks that bring in the cement. So my job was to actually make sure that the bags that are on that truck are exactly what are on the records, getting into the storeroom or even out of the storeroom or onto loading onto any client's vehicles or trucks for that matter. Yeah, so it was a very interesting job. First of all, you know, you're the daughter of the Mrodi, and then you have to interact with the other people that work for your dad.
the annual Lodi.
Then Nalwoga.
Yeah, so it was very interesting, to come down to their level and get into their world, and you get lost into it, and then your father, calls you and madam, you're supposed to be, working.
You're crossing boundaries.
Exactly.
Becomes
things like
protective.
that. Very confusing, by the way, as a child.
Didn't you make some losses? Because I remember one time a friend of mine bought bricks.
Oh.
Told me genda mu kirombe, tafali omutwalo, here. I don't know what I counted, because at the end of the day, those guys are so smart.
Actually, there's
Or
another
they
one.
steal or they cheat, you just can't get the right figure at times.
Yeah, there's a time we had a chicken farm. So I had just been 2 weeks into driving school. And then my dad has loaded the vehicle with the trays of eggs to go to a certain supermarket in Rubaga, right? And then he tells me to be the one to take the eggs to the supermarket. Hi, I sweated plasma, you guys. I was like, but I'm 2 weeks into driving school, and you're giving me a big car at that. It was a time of my life where I sweated. I got to that Ndeva Ring Road junction, right? Cross junction. And there's vehicles coming from every corner, hooting, and so many people are very
But Priscilla, as you're
disobedient on
speaking,
the
are you
road.
watching Felix's face?
No, I can't.
He's wondering for him bearing a geti kakumutwe.
And that's the truth. By the way, as I was going to for you, as you are
Problems
taking
of
a
the
car,
rich.
me, I used to get them from some home and had to take them some long distance. But guess how?
How?
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a time a border guy faked me, and then they all fell down. Now I had to find a way of going back to that lady, man. That was one of the worst days in my life. Like I sat there in the trench and everyone kept on looking at me with the eggs there in the road.
Okay.
Now
All
anyway.
All right. It's definitely a nice throwback to reflect on our first job. So the question is, what was your first job, and what did you like about it, or what didn't you like about it? Send us a WhatsApp on our WhatsApp line, which is appearing on your screen, and we definitely want to hear your views right now. And also on the hashtag, which is UBCGMU on Twitter, at UBCTV Uganda. But thank you so much for streaming with us, our diaspora friends, our Malawian friends, our Kenyan neighbors, and of course everyone else from different parts of the world, which is UBC Television Uganda on YouTube. So as we wait to hear from you, your first job, what you liked and disliked about it, allow us to start Good Morning Uganda for you, a recap into the stories both locally and internationally.
And we'll begin with the president meeting the doctors to assure them of salary enhancement and improved welfare, where the president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, directed that all medical doctors should be employed as soon as they qualify, and emphasized that government is fully committed to providing enhanced salaries not only to medical personnel but to all scientists. He also directed the Ministry of Health to move forward with the program of employing more health personnel. The president was meeting a delegation of Ugandan Medical Association led by their president, Dr. Sam Oledu. The president and the Medical Association discussed a wide range of issues aimed at improving health services in Uganda. Mr. Museveni reiterated that the newly qualified medical doctors were assured of a salary of $5 million per month with effect from 2022-2023 financial year, and said there is no need to create friction while following up the matter of enhanced salary. The president said that the NRM government would work out a system where the enhancement salaries would not only be compromised but unfriendly income tax policies, and that the income tax policies would be revised so that the salaried workers are not disadvantaged. Museveni said that he would push to continue with the medical student and scientists being given priority of 70% of the scholarships in public universities, and pledged to provide a facility of tax-free vehicles to medical doctors starting from the next financial year. Dr. Sam thanked the president for heeding to their call, and also thanked him for the efforts put in ensuring they eliminate or fight COVID-19 and terrorism in Uganda. Museveni appealed to the doctors to work and ensure that they achieve the goal of preventing diseases, noting that it was more effective and affordable to take disease preventive measures and avoid the practice of waiting to attend to patients.
The Ministry of Education and Sports is set to renovate the school's infrastructure towards the reopening of schools set for January 2020. While opening the sector stakeholders symposium, the Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, expressed urgent need of the sector's response from tutors and teachers' orientation.
And on issues of accountability, two Bududa district officials have fled the district in an attempt to evade arrests, having mismanaged government-funded projects worth 7 billion shillings. The officials accused of tampering with the payroll and pension include the district human resource officer and the district engineer who escaped during the monitoring exercise conducted by Peter Ogwang, Minister of State for Economic Monitoring in the office of the Prime Minister.
And finally, for our local stories, advocates of renewable energy have called on government to waive taxes on all components of renewable energy solutions to make cooking solutions affordable, more especially for the rural woman, while launching the National Renewable Energy Platform with the aim of coming up with policies for transiting towards achieving clean energy at Mistil Hotel in Kampala. The Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabira, said banks are now transiting from investing in petroleum to renewable energy.
Well, now in our international stories, and in our first story, we'll be looking at dozens of refugees, migrants die as boat sinks in English Canal. Now 27 refugees, asylum seekers have died trying to cross the English Canal, that is the English Channel, after their dynamically deflated sank in worst disaster on record involving at least migrants in the sea, now separating France and the United Kingdom. France had earlier said 31 people lost their lives, but the number was later revised to down to 27, government officials said. More people had left France's northern shore than usual on Wednesday to take advantage of the relatively calm sea condition, although the water was bitterly cold, according to Reuters news agency. Now, one called the rescue service after seeing attempted dining of people floating motionlessly nearby. A joint French-British rescue operation was launched, involving at least 3 boats and 3 helicopters. Now, Ahmud Aberi, 3 U.S. guilty for murdering black jogger. Now, 3 white men have been found guilty of killing a black jogger last year in the case that became a rallying cry to racial injustice. Protesters. Now, Ahmud Aberi, 25 years, was shot on the 23rd of February 2020 in a confrontation with Travis Gregory and Mark Michael and then their neighbor William Bryan. Now, the defendant said they acted in self-defense during a citizen arrest. Prosecutors said race was a factor. The men now face minimum sentence of life in prison, and mainly white jury of 12 deliberated for about 10 hours before returning their verdict as around midday on Wednesday. Now, the trio were found guilty of murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal intent to commit a felony. Now in Africa, Tanzania to scrap ban on pregnant schoolgirls. A 19-year-old rule that banned pregnant students from attending school in Tanzania is to be scrapped. A minister says. The Education Minister, Professor Joyce Ndalichoko, said on Wednesday that primary and secondary school students who drop out of school due to various reasons, including pregnancy, will now be allowed to return to the formal school system. The government had set up a parallel education system for pregnant schoolgirls, with officials saying this would protect other students from bad influence. And late Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli reinforced the law initially passed in 2002, which allowed for the expulsion of pregnant schoolgirls. The law said the girl could be expelled and excluded from school for offenses against morality and wedlock.
Well, it tallies with what's happening here in Uganda, also because of the circumstances of COVID-19. We do have our teenagers, our young people having gotten into various activities, sexually activities, child labor, and so going back to school is going to be rather difficult for them. You have talked about the pregnant girls in Tanzania, same case that we are facing right now. We have advocates, initiatives that are now focusing on actually the girl child who has gotten pregnant, yet there's still school going, but because of the pandemic they've not been able to engage with school directly or even indirectly. But now we do have Ugandan government also directing schools in Uganda to allow all students, even the pregnant ones, the breastfeeding students, to resume studies when the schools do reopen come January 2022. What is your make of this, Robert?
You're placing me between a hard rock and a stone, but the truth of the matter is, I've always, for me, thrown it to the parents. I don't see how closure of school automatically brings in pregnancies. Of course I know, and I don't mind, is the devil's workshop, but also somehow, I look at this, what examples, what precedent is it setting at the end of the day? You know, previously girls had a fear that if I conceive, I'll miss out on education. You know that, Priscilla? Now it's like, even if I conceive, I'll still go into education. I think for me, I'm not so much into this.
Robert makes it sound like conceiving is a bad thing. Felix, what is your take on this particular one?
I think students must be students, and students do the things that students do. And that's what I always tell my students. When you're a student, that is your full-time job. And that's the primary aspect. So when you choose to get pregnant as a student, the game changes, the drill changes. I can imagine, I'm imagining a mother who's breastfeeding. You're here teaching, kakati, the Bunsen burner, akana, then the breast, you know, and I'm thinking, then my breasts are, what is, they're dripping, I'm like, what, then, I think school is for people who are ready to study, because it doesn't take just your presence physical, it takes mental, psychological, physical, and again, in education, there's something we call peer influence. It's very key. Something we teach so much, and even we are taught even when I was still at back with the seminar. Like peer influence is key. We normally learn a lot from the environment. What Robert does, what Priscilla does, you find that I learn easy from. Now, if you have peer influence, you mukasonde no inayo mama wa junior, inayo mama wa. I mean, so I think let the people who
they come to boarding schools with the kids. Are you admitting a student and a child?
Well, so government gave a directive. Now it's entirely up to the schools to actually find a way to manage what that is in case they have cases like that in the schools that are yet to reopen.
There is no direct relationship between COVID, lockdown, and pregnancy. In as much as there could be an indirect, but there is no direct relationship. It is just about the intent of this. The COVID was just a facilitator of people's intents. So I cannot say.
Idleness is a factor here, Felix.
Again, it is not directly related to pregnancy. Everyone who is idle doesn't get pregnant.
And not all the girls conceived through COVID.
That's the thing.
Through COVID. No.
Really,
English, my brother. No. Let's skip to the proper English.
I know. We are missing the point now.
Right here, going off.
COVID did not impregnate anybody.
Yeah. But we do have healthy drinks that can actually give you a better start to the morning.
I thought a better start to the pregnancy. But anyway.
Felix. Well, we have a ginger tea, a turmeric drinks here for you. They are safe, but also importantly, they boost your immune system. So at such a time, health is our #1 priority. Anything that has been certified by the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, and that means it is safe for you as a Ugandan or a person in our country to consume, please take top on priority is Hallelujah Jinga tea and Hallelujah turmeric drinks.
Okay, all right. 0709602592. That's our WhatsApp line, and we want to hear from you. What was your first job, and what did you like about it, or even what didn't you like about it? We do have someone who has sent us a message here. Ha! My first job was being a shop seller in one of my dad's shop as a dealer. Okay, all right, and that is Jiga. Well, thank you so much, Jiga. Shop seller in one of his dad's shops. That's interesting. What was your first job? Send us our WhatsApp on 0709602592. We'll be able to check it out at the kick-off of the next hour in Good Morning Uganda. We do throw back in music on Thursdays, and because I am not as old, I will leave this honors to Felix Nkunda, who knows more about our song for the day.
Well, of course, we're going to have somebody called Diana Rose. So, and the song is called Thank You, is it? And definitely, we can't wait to to hear that lovely music. But also, in our poll question, we'll be wanting to know from you guys what or how should one use their benefits, the social benefits like the NSSF benefits and various social benefits like gratuity or pension. How should one handle or use such benefits? And we expect to hear from you from, of course, our social media platforms. That is hashtag UBCGMU on Twitter, and of course our WhatsApp number that will be running on your screen. But as for now, we want to go into a lovely classical for the day, and we'll be back at the top of the hour, as Priscilla calls it.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to let my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday 28th November 2021 and will be flagged off by Sabasajja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#, select payment, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to let my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
2 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. Once again, good morning to you and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. In case you have just tuned in up to UBC, my name is Priscilla Nalwoga alongside Robert Kirabo and Felix Nkunda. As we kick off this hour, we do have our daily poll with which we want you to engage in as we step into our newsreel discussion for this morning.
And of course, we would want to hear from you in regards to what's the best way one should handle social benefits like the NSSF fund, among the others. But of course, be able to leave us a comment on our social media, that is on Twitter, hashtag UBCGMU, and of course on WhatsApp, 0709602592.
Okay, all right, now that gets us to dive right into our this conversation is going to be about the National Social Security Fund, that is a quasi-government agency responsible for the collection, safekeeping, and also responsible investment and distribution of retirement funds from employees of the private sector in Uganda. This is a conversation that has been around for a while, the mid-term bill access amendment, and we've now had Parliament as of yesterday through the Speaker of Parliament, and that is Honorable Jacob Olanya, coming out to state that the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2021 has been passed, and this one allows workers to access their funds midway their official retirement. And midway in this consideration was for those of them that, you know, are not persons with disabilities, their access is now accessible at 45 years of age, but you must have saved with NSSF for 10 years. However, of course, there was now the consideration of persons with disabilities, and they were also given leniency, which was them that are of 40 years of age but have also served with NSSF for over 10 years. They get to have access to their fund and a 50% access to that, which is higher than the 20% for those that are, you know, normal able employees for that matter. So it's been a big conversation. It's been one that we've been waiting for since the work of the week. It's been on the floor of the Parliament, and yesterday parliamentarians did agree that yes, this is actually important and necessary in advancing the private sector. Where does this leave us? First of all, let us first understand what was the initial purpose of the National Social Security Fund while it was being set up. What was it supposed to be aiming at and targeting before we get into the midterm access conversation? Felix.
Well, when you do bring into contemplation the National Social Security Fund, you also take cognizance of the verbatim approach of the particularities that come with the word. And if you may seek to understand the dire, you will have to look at word by word. One is the National Social Security Fund. Now, the intention is also still galvanized in the words that it seeks to put ultimate ability when the presumption is that you are unable. I don't know if that brings it out best. That you are basically preparing for a security for times when your social well-being will be challenged. That means that the people who are qualified to be beneficiaries of such a fund must be those who have gotten to approach the times of where seemingly they are threatened with social and well-being. So the fund was basically a collection point, a pool of resources, as you still can pull this resource for a time when you may not be able to pull this resource. So, and this was basically to make a parallel appreciation against the government existence of pension, the government existence of gratuity, the parliamentary existence of the parliamentary pension, scheme, because government was covered, but how about the private institutions? And that is how to safeguard and also be able to guarantee social well-being of these people. Government had to come out to establish the NSSF. Now, it is also on record that the existence of social funds like this greatly help a country into limiting their expenses in terms of the well-being. Because previously, before this that we are going to discuss today, you realize that people are only entitled to their monies in a couple of categories, which are not limited to, but nevertheless also appreciate the same of age, which where someone had to have reached a required age, above 60, I think 64, around there. You come to disability, that also someone would be able to get this money when they were disabled or faced with a particular chronic illness. Now, that again works directly back into the point as to why that to deal or to be a remedy to social challenges, things that challenge social welfare, that's the major challenge of this fund, and it is global. It is global. Almost every country has such kind of setup, that we must have a fund that can be a solution or to save people's challenges in relation to social welfare in terms of livelihood, feeding, housing, clothing, transportation, just to mention but a few.
Okay, all right. Now we get to look at the mid-term access, the amendment that was passed on parliamentary floor. You've testified here that one of our ardent faithfuls here in Good Morning Uganda called you yesterday and said, yeah, they've been looking forward to this. They're excited about it, and they're looking forward to be one of the initial beneficiaries of this amendment bill. But let's look at what this bill actually means in terms of the amendment that has now been given. Of course, the backbone of it, we all do understand that it was inspired by the state of COVID-19 and how these very same people in the private sector were faced with a lot of high costs to deal with in treatment of COVID-19. Of course, that was in the time when we majorly did not have as many vaccines accessible to Ugandans to be able to get vaccinated, and so the cost of COVID-19 was quite high for the private sector. And so they called upon different entities to find a way to help Ugandans be able to deal with the situation, and this was one of those recommendations, and today it is becoming a reality almost.
Well, first I want to thank Felix for that very big and good background he gave of the purpose of this fund, initial purpose of this fund. Now, the midterm has a connection to what exactly Felix explained. Actually, the craving and yearning for midterm was even before COVID-19, because workers' unions, workers' bodies had already expressed concern about 5 years back, even before COVID, saying that when I reach the age of 65, and this is when I'm getting my money, some may not even get it immediately after hitting the age of retirement. They would even take another 5 years. So when you give me this money and I'm already aged, I can't have the energies to go into maybe trade. Even if you tell me that the huge chunks of money I have, if I deal in timber, I would get a lot of money. Still, this person has aged. So they said, if at least I can get some of these monies when I'm still energetic, begin some investment to aid me, then this will be better. Because you find that a number of people actually have been listening to a number of stories of beneficiaries of NSSF, and you find that almost 70%, you know what they do, Priscilla? They construct rentals. Do you know why? Because this person has run out of energy, and maybe all they think is, if I have rentals, I'll get monthly pay, and this will sustain me. Which goes back to what Felix said, that's social security. Because now you can no longer wake up early, you can no longer be employed because of age and all that. So there was this need that if you have some portion, if I get a 20%, then I can make some investments. Because I'm still energetic, I can still move around with the world. You know, the world evolves. Every time there's something new, there are new challenges. So this is what the purpose of this amendment, first and foremost, was to the workers. And why they're excited? Because now if a Felix Nkunda comes with an idea that, hey, Robert, what is up now is let's buy pieces of land. After 2-3 years, they'll have added value, we sell them. Robert and Felix can still go to any part of this country because they're energetic enough, and they'll look at this land. They can still run around to authentify, look at documents. But when you give them this money at 65 plus, these people now will have to send children who live in still, so who can misappropriate the money or use it in certain things. So that was the aim, and this is why workers are now happy that if I've been having a business idea, I lack money, these 2 million savers now know if all goes well, the board of NSSF, the ministry comes up with proper guidelines on how they are going to be getting this money, then people can use the money. So it was kind of ensuring that the initial purpose, the balance of your 20%, then will come at that time. Either it will help you recapitalize the business you've been doing, or it will help you then go into that kind of rentals or something else when you've aged. So that was the main purpose. But also the bill looked at other issues that are very important as well. For example, it looked at employers who have not been remitting. You know, people have been doing this and it was free of charge almost. There isn't so much. But now it's going to be punishable and seriously punishable. The bill also, one thing that I liked so much is the voluntary savers.
Please highlight for us the punishments that are expected for those that do not actually comply.
Previously, we had people who would employ people and they would not bother to remit their NSSF. But according to the new law, when we look at it, it's the amendments looks at ensuring that a jail term, that is the NSSF, face a 5-year jail term on top of having to pay all the arrears. This is contained in the NSSF amendment bill passed yesterday in Parliament. So there is a 5-year jail term. Previously, MPs had suggested that they confiscate assets and pay, but now it's a jail sentence of 5 years.
On top of you paying for everything that you owe. Yes.
Yeah. So because people have been deducted this money, but has been not going anywhere. At the end of the day, they tell, but there is nothing we have here regarding NSSF. And also the issue of voluntary saving, which also I find very attractive now to build the fund, and this will also enable trust, and I think it will bring more people to fight and crave to save with NSSF.
All right. The aftermath of it, of course, there's another signature that has to come to it for it to be official. But then let's look at NSSF. It has asset worths of about 15 trillion Ugandan shillings right now. It's regulated by the Ministry of Gender. And now you get to see that the new proposal also requires that there's supervision and management with the Ministry of Finance. I believe that brings in then a lot of contention on who is going to be handling this particular part of the bill.
No, well, of course, when the amendment passes into law, you'll expect that a direction will be given on how it will be enforced or probably implemented as a matter of fact. Whether, and that has also been an issue, I don't know why it wasn't covered in these amendments, of where the NSSF falls under Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Gender. But I think the most comfortable for the people would be the Ministry of Gender, because it is entirely about workers. But it also has, imagine a fund that holds over 10 trillion and you're throwing it in another. So there's a bit of collusion there. But as you said, the lacuna will be fixed when you talk about supervision in that reference. Something just to add into the guise of regulation and punitiveness, that when you start such a disbursement and you want to discuss mid-term benefits, it means that, one, you're going to have to restructure the fund. It's a total restructure. Robert talked about 2 million, but the other question that no one is willing to answer is, are the funds available to cater for? Because between you and me, you know that these funds don't lie there waiting for people to come and spray them so they don't get molds and what.
Yeah, because the NSSF has to actually make investments to be able to grow your savings.
The last I had, the director, kept on talking about having bought bonds in Rwanda, in Kenya, Manyawe.
So they did have money in case it was passed at that time. Exactly. Yes.
And that time is not so far from today. It's probably about 2 months ago.
But he later retracted the statement. After, I think, he came back and said, no, the money is available.
I think that was for good stage management or for good PR. But as a matter of fact, it's going to be a challenge. And you're going to see that also now at the peak of news, probably if it is passed. The expectation is that this will go to His Excellency. If he does ascend in the soonest, well and good. If he doesn't, however, as we look about, and this is what we were discussed with the forums that bring together workers, the unions and what, that as we discuss mid-term benefits, are they a cure to the challenges of workers entirely? In fact, the suggestion was that as we discuss let's take as a bundle of laws that relate to workers at once to the president, and these among very many, emphasis was put on the NSSF midterm benefits, but by far also the wage bill. Which is one of the reasons. You see, giving this money, does it remedy the problem of workers? You're getting money at 45, and then the question is, the people who get this money, are they expected to leave work to focus on the investment that we are talking about? You know, and secondly, how many people have saved for at least 10 years and are in that age? And
given the fact that NSSF has just been in existence for 35 years now,
exactly.
So you're looking at about people who have stretched it up to 20 years, 25 years.
Actually, according to statistics, out of the 15 million, they need about, out of the 15 trillion that NSSF has, like you've said, it's about, when they looked at, try to equate the number of people who need this money, it would be spending about $1 trillion. About $1 trillion to cover these people.
Now, that shows you that in as much as it may be passed or not passed, it doesn't cause relevant effect towards what they need. Because the numbers which are eligible are very
Yes, and of course that is in direct relationship with for how long this fund has been in existence.
Definitely.
So that one is definitely not something to argue about.
But also, as you want to talk about these midterm benefits, don't be scared to discuss the things that matter most about workers' welfare. If you want to, because the question is, what puts a person at the age of 45 in dire need of such money? You get the point. At that age, if everything is going right, why would you need to withdraw your social savings? There must be a reason. There must be a reason. One of the major reasons, most recent, is the COVID, the pandemic, because we have seen a great number of people lose their jobs, businesses go down, and all this. But we must address that challenge. I can tell you, social benefits are meant to aid your social welfare in bad times. But that is, again, the reason why earlier it was attached to age and comorbidities and disabilities. Because the expectation is that someone probably can take care of themselves around this time. Either the discussion...
life pressures have reduced. For example, this is a person that the children have maybe concluded school or the university. So the little you get, you can plan for it.
That is also very
It is relative.
No, because I was trying to look at
it's a bit relative.
A number of workers and why there were those that were advocating let this stay. They're telling you that at that time even 60, there is so much. At 45, remember where they was telling us, life begins at 45. That is where maybe there's so much. And if people are not careful, the 20% may end up, like Felix said, in
squandering the money.
Squandering the money. So, but
however,
if also well used, it can.
If you read the minority report, some of these were quite evident. That there are also fears, in as much as it is being pushed, but there are fears. There are fears. And some of the fears is that what can you do with probably a certain amount of money at that particular age,
which also varies.
It does. The amount
due to lack of a minimum wage in this country, you may find that someone their 20% could be 2 million.
It's very true, by the way. That's something that
yes, 2 million. And the Ugandan is excited, saying let's
and that also
but that
means
2 million definitely can make a business. It can start something, and it can change the livelihood of a person. So let's also not negate it.
Priscilla.
Business. It is relative, but of course people have started business with 500,000, with 200,000, and things have changed. We have seen miracles out of it. But getting back to this law, I think it is timely. I would want to say it is timely. The expectation is that it is going to aid the dire situation in the aftermath of COVID as we open up the economy. I believe and trust that the reason why the Parliament has made it its point to pass this law around this time is targeting the opening of the economy in January. We believe and hope that it is an addition to the very many channels government is trying to put in place to aid the economy. Like yesterday we were discussing the stimulus package. There is a Nalwoga, parish what, all these ones. I think it will be a good contribution, in addition to the very many trials that government is trying to put, incentives. For those who will be able to be smart enough and use some of these funds wisely, definitely. Wealth is for the wise. It is not for the indolent.
That's true.
So for those who will be indolent, they will put on nice shoes.
So much as it was passed on the floor of Parliament yesterday, does this mean that it's done and dusted? Because I'm pretty sure there's some people who may not know what next.
Some people have already lined up at NSS.
Have already lined up.
Definitely, it's not done and dusted. We must remember this is the second time this bill is coming to Parliament. The 10th Parliament passed this bill, and when a bill is passed, according to our laws, the president is given 30 days from the day of notification to either assent to the bill or return it to Parliament. Now, we still have two categories to look at. We have the president, if within 30 days upon notification is going to assent to this bill, then it comes into law, and we wait for what the NSSF board and those concerned are going to come up with draft on how people are going to access this money. So still a long journey. He may choose not to assent to it, then it comes back. If then it's rejected, that is, and Parliament passes it, that's when it's going to be a law. So there's still some journey to go. And of course, this journey to go, even if the president passed or assented to this bill, the methodology, the process of who gets what, as and when, is something that may even throw out a number of people. Because it's not automatic that if you've said for 10 years now and you clock 45, you automatically go to NSSF. It has to come up, one, look at methods of giving out this money that may not deplete the fund. Methods of ensuring that as they're giving out this money, they look at other opportunities, because NSSF, government has used this fund for a number of things, to generate income or even to save us from some loans that we could. So the other technical aspects that have to be considered for our work, I think it will only be done when the president has assented to it, and also the board of NSSF has come out in conjunction with the Ministry of Gender with specific procedures on who is going to get this money. Then if you fit in those procedures, then you're able to go and access this money. So there's still a journey to wait. And that is when now the workers that are saving with NSSF, that 2 million, then about 800 there that are believed to be into this category, will be able to access this money. But for now, the joy is Parliament passed it, and we are waiting for the president's pending signature to it.
Okay, all right. In regards to a poll question, which I would call for a recap too.
And that will be, what's the best way one should handle social benefits like the NSSF fund?
And that's a question that I would like to pose to you, gentlemen, this morning. How best should people be able, in case those that walk into there, get it signed off and they get their money, as much as it may be or little that it may be, how should they be able to then manage their fund in boosting their social security?
If you ask me such a question, I would say that for us to draw into the mind of the legislators and the authors of such amendment, one would want to understand the critical intention, far from just giving money for someone to rejuvenate their economy and what. The studies, if you look at the studies in terms of people who have been beneficiaries, what is the success story vis-a-vis the failures? How many people actually use this fund to change lives? In fact, I remember there was a show NSSF used to do. Was it called what?
NSSF Winners Award.
Something like
people
that.
Who come and tell their stories.
Yeah,
then.
but also in the COVID-19 times, they have
upgraded
to having various seminars to cater for various sectors.
Exactly.
Of business
NSSF was just trying to show people how
opportunities.
The opportunities that come with this fund and what you can do. Now, every fund, in fact, it is a proposal, very soon a team will be taken to Parliament, that every fund that they are being given must be followed with some knowledge. If you're disbursing money to someone, let's say who has been under employment for 30 years, and you're giving them money to invest it, between you and me, do you think they can do that?
That's entirely in their hands to decide.
Now, that is, if that then defeats the purpose of the fund. Because remember, the fund is supposed to help us reduce the burden, the social burden on government. But if you give Kirabo money, let's say 200 million today, he has been employed for the last 40 years, let's imagine, and you're giving him money to start. That's why I told you, most of them want the easy way out, Kanzimbe, Burento, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, actually that's also a smart one. But I think we must be able to incorporate either at the level of private institutions, or at the level of government, or at the level of the institution of NSSF, some sort of social knowledge as people get these funds, you know. And I'm telling you, it has been a problem. People get this money to treat illnesses. People get this money to go for holidays. Treatment could be afforded, it would be forgivable. People get to go for holidays. As I was saying that life begins at 50, you can imagine. 40,
at 45.
You can imagine. I don't know how you start beginning life at 45.
At 40, actually. That's
so what happened when you are being born? So it's and I think for me, as you asked that question, for us to make sense out of these amendments, that's why I said earlier, it is not just enough to give money, people be excited. We must also add something. For example, some investment knowledge, financial knowledge. We must find somewhere to place.
Binding,
yes,
basically.
And the good thing is that now it falls under the Ministry of Gender. That they should come up with something to attach, either a 2-day seminar for, you know, I don't know, and they can charge it on the pose funds, but it must be there.
Well, Priscilla, I'll be precise. First and foremost, to people who are going to receive this midterm that qualify, let it not be capital for a business. Let it not be capital for a business.
That's his take.
Otherwise, because when you're starting a business, there's so much you have to learn. And there's so much mistakes that you can make. Go for these midterm benefits. When you're only sure it is going to be an addition fund to what you've been doing. If you don't have a business that has been running, don't be excited to go because you're saying, this is my money, it is not a loan. Either I choose to marry, buy a new car.
Yeah, but Robert, it can't be only in consideration of those that already have something running.
Now, this is my opinion.
There are those that have had dreams of setting up private businesses, but because of the attachment to the kinds of jobs that they do, it's not allowed.
It's relative.
It's relative, but this is my opinion and my advice to people. Because I've seen many people get these monies in some times. That's why you see that many Ugandans get loans, and at the end of the day, some fail.
What is wrong with marrying with those benefits? You talked about don't marry. Why?
Because you have to put this money in a venture that is going to bring, that is directly productive, that you're going to get profits there and then.
I can.
That is, it's not money that you're going to get. Let me complete my house.
You see how Priscilla is looking at you, and you don't want people to
invest
marry,
it for it to make value. For your welfare. But if you choose to squander it,
I think
like
it's
the prodigal son in the Bible, and you just squander it,
okay, clearly we all have different objectives as to why we would go for this fund, and at the end of the day, it's
Priscilla,
it's
what
relative.
Would you use? Just out of curiosity, if you are eligible, what would you use that money for?
Definitely investment. It's about investment, because the kind of lump sum can actually get your investment moving faster and quicker. Of course, but in 10 years you'd have gotten some good money. That's the consideration. So midterm benefits for NSSF savers, if you've been saving for more than 10 years and you are of the age 45, as soon as the president does put signature to it, you are eligible and you can start planning for the next phase of your life. Persons with disabilities have also been given a very good consideration of 50% access of their midterm benefits when it comes to them reaching the age of 40 and have been saving with NSSF for 10 years. We await to hear more in the build-up of this until it is signed off officially by the president, and then it can be made active. For now, we continue with activity here on Good Morning Uganda. We do have the tabloids that are coming through. The papers have a lot to say in this very same regard. Also, traffic update coming through, and we'll be having a guest this morning. We'll be talking about defensive driving. Festive seasons are here. So many new road users. COVID-19 gave people cars. Cars were no longer luxury, they were an essential thing and to buy cars to be able to
which
have
is a good
access.
thing.
Which is what?
Have you looked at the fuel price today?
Just been talking about
prices. Many of them are now. They bought these big engines that.
By the way,
can we do better?
Fuel. Oh my God.
10,000. It's a conversation for tomorrow.
10,000.
10,000 can't give you 2 liters. Oh my God. What is happening?
It's okay. It's okay. You can afford it.
You find cars stuck like gum. Yeah, everyone is like a jerrycan in the evening in traffic. Yeah,
they didn't fetch water when they were young. Now they're
okay. Clearly, we might have traffic updates faster than the newspapers because of the fuel prices conversation. But allow us to take a short commercial break. We'll return shortly.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday 28th November 2021 and will be flagged off by Sabasajja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#, select payment, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Keeping you informed with relevant information as you kickstart your day is our major mandate. And now we give you information of some of the highlights in the dailies as you wake up, as you drive to work. And I have the New Vision, my colleague has the Daily Nation and the Daily Monitor. Beginning with what we've just been discussing, that is NSSF savers get midterm access. And about 93,000 members are eligible to access their savings with the NSF, that is midterm savings. Well, also we look at the expo that is going on, the Homes and Construction Expo, where why foundation over building matters a lot. But also in the arena of sports, First Lady congratulates Kiplimo And doctors strike, medical workers table demands. And also in the education column, we have this morning Senior 3 English, Entrepreneurship, ICT, and also Senior 2 Physics and Mathematics are in the vision for you there. But there is also over 170 tenders or opportunities for you there. You never know, this could have been your long awaited for breakthrough. The new vision brings you more of that.
Now on the Daily Monitor, Uganda surrenders key assets for China cash. And which assets? Please be able to get the papers. And 3 students electrocuted in Busia match. Now magistrates cautioned on arrogancy, and Uganda threatens to quit World Coffee Body. Also bomb scare shuts Kampala Road there, but which did turn out to be false. Now still in the Daily Monitor from the archives, you see a photo of His Excellency the President and the former Prime, that is Musoke Chintu. Today in history, Philip Commission's members visit Uganda to gather views, and storm of the century hits eastern US, that is in 1950. And of course, MPs finally allow early access to NSSF monies.
Back to the new vision, we look at facts about HIV/AIDS. That is, I have HIV/AIDS, but I want sex. Well, there is so much that the experts guide you here. And looking at the COVID-19 tracker for Uganda, new confirmed cases 37, positivity rate 0.7, death none, and total deaths so far in Uganda registered is 3,250. Please once again have your mask on, wash your hands with soap or sanitize before touching the soft parts of your body, but also avoid crowded areas and go for vaccination, because that's the only way we can fight death as a result of COVID-19. Today in history, it was on this date, the 25th of November, but the year 2004, when Museveni ordered probe into allegations of beating MPs. Also, globally, Fidel Castro died on this very date, the 25th of November, but the year 2016. Well, so much the new vision has brought for you this morning.
Now, of course, in sports, Tin Akena in charge of Open there, and this is for Sosha Carrick, UCL Manchester United interim boss Michael Carrick, dedicated victory over Villarreal for former manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And of course, Remit gave us the World Cup, but also Alwi Rose missed chance, and international spotlight shines on Uganda Kabaddi. Now Nakarembe outgrows her nerves. Of course, that is in sports there.
And for the new vision, First Lady congratulates record holder, that is Jacob Chiplimo, who smashed the half marathon world record, and the first for a young talent that is capable of many more. There is a message there, but also the unsung heroes. Who are they? The new vision gives you more. And also we still look at Kapchora, the land where I've had various athletes, where Kapchora, 4th of the 8-part series, the new vision covering this particular area in our country, where I've seen many talented people come from there. But also we have the Daily Nation this morning.
Now in the Daily Nation, it's fresh trouble for Ruto at ICC. Now, of course, first case failed due to witness interference, but now it is fresh. Of course, all these accusations are expected to come in at the time when he was standing for president. Now, campaign to stop violence in NMG leads initiative to mark 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and RUG officials call for certificates. But of course, much of that we'll be able to get when we now climate top agenda on devolution conference, and secondary schools to host junior high. Very much, and many of the stories are in the papers there, but be able to get yourself the stories of the same in the tabloids, that is in the Daily Monitor, Daily Nation, and of course the new vision. But of course also they put a few of the people who have dormant accounts apparently in some of the banks around town. This particular one, Daily Monitor, we have notice to customers on the dormant account register. That is from Stanbic. I don't know, Robert, when did you last to deposit or withdraw some money?
I do that regularly by the grace of God.
But also, there's another beautiful story, Robert, about
Shares?
Uganda surrendering airport for cash, for China cash. I think it's a story you would want to interest yourself in.
There's an artist, that is Ronald Mayinja, for us who have lived by the grace of God.
Alhamdulillah.
And he once sang a song, I think it was Africa.
How did he sing?
Partition. And
can you song for us? The sing.
Robert,
that is a different song.
No. Reason being, why would you? There are certain things. I remember when my parent was telling me about issues of the war. So he told me there are about 3 areas. My mom told me, if you're to declare a new government, he told me you need the national radio and TV and the airport. So the airport is a vital part of any country. It's a key installation, and we should own it as Ugandans at all costs.
Uganda surrenders key assets for China cash, and clearly it is not as vital as your father told you, or mother, I don't know. But what else is vital is we need to know what's on the roads of Kampala or in the suburbs or the outskirts of the same city. And Priscilla definitely is already there to give us a feel on what's on the road. Yes, Priscilla.
Well, thank you so much, Nkunda, and for that definite way of looking at the papers this morning. A lot for you to consume and take in this morning. But also in regards to traffic, we do have a lot that is considerable. Festive season is around the corner, and we must be sharp and sensitive, especially now that we have, sort of terror attacks in the country. We're having people now unsafe. Felix, over this course of the week, has continually stated that he now feels unsafe when he's in traffic jam, and so we want to look at driving behaviors and also security. But before we do that, we want to look at the states of traffic in Waise. You get to see at the Kampala Northern roundabout, where you do have the bypass intersecting with Waise. There's a bit of traffic jam. Then equally, we also do have a lot of traffic jam that is coming in from Kawempe. But then the alternative route from Kawempe would be Kawala Road through past Kawempe police station, the Black End, and that brings you right into the heart of Kasubi. That is also giving us an indication of red zones on sharp corners. Of course, towards Kasubi, there's a lot of bumps that were originally on the road. However, now of late there was a sort of a redigging of the road, so it's a much more passable road right now. Kasubi is having a lot of traffic jam this morning, especially where you do have the market area. Being Thursday, obviously, that is the day for offloading produce, for those of them that bring in to Kasubi Market. And then you also get to have a sneak peek into Masiro Road, which has a little bit of traffic jam when it comes to interaction with Sentema Road, but the rest of it seems to be clear. Obviously, Bombo Road is having a lot of traffic jam interaction with the area code of Wandege, between Wandege and Kampala Road, and then the other areas are expectedly normal because of commuter taxis that interact a lot with those spots. But speaking of interacting, this morning we are delighted to have Mr. Tamale Wilson, who's joining me here on our traffic update. He's the director, Country View Driving School, which is located in Nankulabye. We want to have a conversation with him. Festive season is here, but people's driving behavior can be terrible, especially in the festive season. We earlier talked about how this year everyone has literally sold a plot of land to get a car. It's no longer luxury but an essential, but many of them have actually not gone through driving school. So Mr. Tamale Wilson is here to give us some confidence and also some tips in regards to road safety. Good morning to you, Mr. Tamale Wilson.
Yes, good morning, madam.
And how are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you very much.
So you started your driving school in 1983.
Yes.
In
yes,
1983, what inspired you to start a driving school then?
Well, from our family, my grandfather had vehicles And when he died, my father succeeded them. And in the course of cleaning, as a boy, I used to clean them, and I used to try. And really, I wanted so much to take that career of driving. But when I came to my secondary school in 1975, I found somebody who had the same idea, and that is a friend, and his father had a garage, so I thought he's a good right person to deal with. So I continued that career, but in the process I was given a lift by somebody, a big man called Sebwana, who knew my parents, but at Namungona the vehicle overturned and I broke my arm. I was taken to hospital. My parents waited for me, thinking, because every weekend I used to go help them, and then they waited for me. They thought I'm coming. This time I am not coming. The Indian I was staying with thought I went home, and yet I was in hospital. Realizing that man was drunk, had drunk, and actually he overturned the vehicle at Namungona playground. So since then I thought, after my studies, I have to start something like a driving school. I could help others avoid accidents and carnage on the road.
Oh, well, every test does have a testimony, and now we do have Cat Review Driving School in Nankolaville. All right, so let's talk about the areas of driving. There is a skill, there's knowledge, there's attitude, and we do have so many drivers on the road, I will be honest with you, that have not gone through driving school, and yet these are key areas that are paramount for people to have the kind of discipline we expect to see on our roads in Uganda today.
To answer that, we have our legal document, and that legal document is called the Traffic and Road Safety Act. It says clearly that nobody should be on our roads without being trained or going through a driving school. So many people are teaching themselves in their compounds, in their washing bays, in taxi parks, in garages, all somewhere in Madam Road, somewhere where there is no traffic. But really they don't have the skill. They don't know how to drive. They're just moving vehicles, but they are not skilled, they are not trained. Training is very important. Somebody must have the skill. A skill is practical driving, where somebody has to use the controls of the vehicles, and the vehicles acts like he wants. And that also you add on the knowledge. Knowledge is actually the theory of driving, and those two, skill and knowledge, can make you a very good driver. The third one is attitude you talked about. Attitude is the general outlook of things. Where am I driving now? What is the change of weather? What's the weather condition? What's the surface of the road like? Is it malam? Is it tarmac? Is it there are a lot of potholes, corners, humps, and such a thing? So you have, the attitude gaps. It bridges between the attitude, the knowledge and the skills. So people must have those areas of driving to be safe on roads.
Okay, all right. Yes. You have talked about safety on the road, of course. Yes. Now people have a little bit of pressure when they're in traffic jam because of the security threats that we have within the country, being managed by security agencies, we are rest assured. But we have various road users. We do have pedestrians, we do have cyclists, we do have motorists. Let's talk about the behavior as well as the security in such a time as this.
Many things are going on right now, and people are doing things at a very terrific speed now because of the big days like Christmas and other events we shall have all over throughout December, January, and other things. Now everybody has to be careful, starting through with the pedestrians on the road. People think that pedestrians are not vehicles, but whatever is on the road is a vehicle. People now are moving with a very, very high speed in their minds, in their attitudes, thinking about how am I going to do? How am I going to go through these big days? People are trading, people are driving speed within the motorcycles,
people want to
bicycles,
go from Kampala to Barra in
passenger
2.5
vehicles.
hours.
Yes, people are bringing in things with the commercial vehicles. Commercial vehicles means trucks and trailers, and they're bringing in animals, food and other things to make sure they get money. But you know, how are we behaving? How are we driving that? We have to apply the complete cockpit drill.
Okay, so what does a complete cockpit drill mean, and what's its purpose in terms of road users?
Yes, cockpit drill means the complete cockpit drill is actually you have to do many things. Like what can make you safe on the road is actually checking your vehicle before you start it. You have to check your vehicle, you have to check the body, you have to check under, you have to check the bonnet, you have to check the emergencies, you have to check the inside, knowing that the vehicle is fit and well to be on the road. You, the driver, also must make sure that you are fit and well to be on the ground. Now, the other thing you have to do is to practice what we call the full complete cockpit drill. That is making sure you are aware about the speed you are driving on the road. Number one. Number two, you have to make sure that you take care about the other road users. Number three, you have to make sure the way you carry things, make sure that your attitude is to get money, but also to think about the vehicle you are driving. Are you driving things? Are you driving people? Are you driving animals and other things? So you have to make sure that in the process of using our roads, we have to practice a lot of attention, concentration, and alertness.
Attention, concentration, alertness,
Yes.
which requires the body to then rest. But
Yes.
we have long distance drivers in this festive season that are going to make a trip from Kampala to Gulu, Kampala to Kabale. They're going to be making border drives. How long must one rest before they can actually make such a drive?
Actually, depending to medical, I think doctors say you must sleep 6 hours non-stop if you are to drive from 200 kilometers to 1,800. You can imagine somebody driving a bus from Kampala to Koboko, Kampala to Kisoro, Kampala, and he didn't have rest. Maybe most of our people don't rest. They worked during the night, he worked during the day, he worked all day, and then he drives at night. And it's very, very dangerous to drive a vehicle between 12 midnight and 6 a.m. That's where somebody gets the sleep. And you know, it's not very wise to drive a vehicle when you are fatigued, when you are tired, and actually when you didn't have good rest. It's better you change driver if possible.
Okay, all right. That is Mr. Tamale Wilson giving you traffic tips, guidelines for road users ahead of the festive season. Your final remarks, Mr. Tamale. Festive season is here. There's definitely a lot to expect on the road.
Let us be patient in whatever we are doing. Let us think that things will keep on going. One day cannot make us actually run mad when we are doing things. Let's consider other people. Let us drive defensively, because even if you have your attitude says, I must make the money, I must make the money, I have lost all year. No, you end up losing. Please, let us consider other road users. Let us think about security. You people who are using passenger vehicles, check everything you are taking.
Open
check
the bags and
open
check
the
them
bags
thoroughly.
and check everything. Don't carry dangerous things in vehicles within the passenger vehicle, because some people now are carrying fuel, they are carrying pangas, they are carrying nails. We are going, you know, when I go to the village, I will have to carry. Please make sure the way you are carrying those things. Don't be nuisance to other passengers, more especially passenger vehicles. Take care what you do. Drivers, you are carrying people, you are carrying responsible people. Please, we have, leaders of, regions, we have our parents, we have important people who are very difficult to be replaced if they die in accidents. Take care what you are doing. I know that you want to make money, but please make it in good mood so that everybody can reach his destiny very safely.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Tamale, for making the time and coming by on Good Morning Uganda and giving us this tip. It's definitely been one that is good to take in and for your consideration ahead of the festive seasons. He has mentioned something about defensive driving. We'll definitely have him back to talk about defensive driving. It's very important. But just a sneak peek into some of your responses according to a poll question. My NSSF savings is a reserve fund to help me when I'm out of employment. I lost my job in 2019 and I'm not willing to rush for my savings because NSSF is giving good annual interest where I can earn an average 10 million. That is a respondent from a poll question, which is definitely another interesting thing. NSSF, for those hoping to benefit, please have time to plan carefully and cross-check well to socialize your life and also your future. Thanks for the program. That is Captain Chitaka Mayanja. Thank you so much, Mr. Captain. And you also say your first job was to pick dropped coffee ahead of your late father, for you were just following him and picking only the red ones. So it was tiresome, but it trained you to become a good farmer. Okay, all right. Mr. Captain Chitaka, thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda. Of course, we do have so many other respondents there on their first jobs. We have another person here saying my first job was in Senior 6 vacation 2013, taking bricks somewhere using a wheelbarrow. 1,000 bricks were worth 10,000 shillings, and I told the boss I would bring 40 by 40 for easy calculation, but then reached 400 and I started cheating and I reduced it to 25 each time. And wow, that was a definite hassle that you went through, but at the end of the day you learned a lesson. That's the good thing. Our first jobs are here to teach us. I was a volunteer intern, earning 300,000, and to save I had to walk from office to Makerere to Kololo daily. That is Lonard. Well, Lonard, that was a very interesting commitment you made. So many other responses with your first jobs. Anyway, our first job here on Good Morning Uganda and UBC is to inspire Uganda, and in our next hour we're definitely going to be doing that with Robert Kirabo and Ruben Pima Chibirango, who will be closing the hour talking about AC Milan, obviously.
Raising voices.
As a community member, I think we need to change in the way we act in response to violence against children. In my small way, I can be a leader in preventing violence in my community. I promise to work with my neighbor to create violence-free homes and communities for our children.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.